So welcome back to Unladylike Opinions, where this review is the new show called Our Kind of People, Season 1, Episode 1, Reparations. This is a new show on Fox, so this review is going to be pretty long because I want to get everything, all the details and all that or whatever. So, the season premiere starts off with Angie, which is Yaya, and her family riding in the car with the top back, letting their hair blow in the wind, and Angie auntie was like, "Oh, why you got our hair blowing like this? My wig gonna fall off." It ain't something that my mama would say. And so they get to the beach, and Angie's daughter wants to enjoy the water and enjoy the summer. And so they're playing in the water, and Angie starts thinking about her mom. And she says that all of this reminds her of her mom because they came here because of her. So her mom passed away and left her a deed to a building she wants to finish what her mom couldn't, and open up the pop-up shop as a salon, I believe. And it's the same place that her mom worked as a maid. So Angie, is still grieving her mom's death, and her aunt consoles her. And so we get over to like a landing strip where a private jet and family gets off, which so I guess it's gonna be like have and the have nots, but all black version or whatever. I think it's gonna be something like that, rich versus poor, or wealthy versus middle class, or something like that or whatever. So the daughter Lauren seems like she is one of those entitled rich kids, that because she's all in her phone trying to figure out people telling her, where this, whatever. I don't know. And so the grandma comes up, and she says that they were supposed to have been there a while ago. So the grandma is on Leah, which is the Lauren's mom or whatever, and she says, so I'm thinking that the grandma is like somebody that Leah seeks approval from, because she says to her husband Raymond that she's never gonna let me live. And so Raymond and her are talking, and so it looks like her and Raymond had some trouble in their marriage. And he's telling her that he wants to get their marriage back on track, what all he wanted to do to her later or whatever. Excuse me, something in my eye. And so Angie and her family arrive at the boarding house that her mom left for her, and she is impressed at how big the place is. And the aunt tells Angie that her mom swore that she would never come back after what happened with Angie's father. So Angie asked if her mom ever told her who her father was, and she was like, no, she took that to her grave with her. So Angie has this flashback of when her mom was combing her hair and getting her ready to meet her father, and she asked her, young Angie asked her mom why she never met her dad, and she was like, well, he was busy getting everything ready because we're going to be living with him now in this big old castle on the water. So then the dad arrives, and him and Angie mom are arguing, and she tells him that but you don't see the dad's face or whatever. So she tells him, because he brings her some money, I guess it's some hush up, be quiet and stay here money or whatever. And so she's pissed off, and Angie moms tell him to get out before she beat the black off him. She finna go Joe Jackson on his. So Angie sees him leaving, and she tries to run behind him, and she's running behind him hollering daddy, but he doesn't turn around. He walks in out the door in the rain, and the door closes, and she's standing in the door crying, like boo-hooing, crying, wanting her dad. So now we back with grown Angie, and she says that I am here now, mom. So I'm wondering, does Angie really know who her father is already? and she just back to get vengeance or something. I don't know. But Angie talks to her daughter, and her daughter asks when would they spread, the ashes of Angie's mom. And she said, let us get settled first. And because you've had a rough year. So Angie's daughter got expelled from a school fight and caught a case. Damn. So Angie makes her jump on the bed with her and to take her mind off of it, and she says that this is a fresh start and she wants to create generational wealth for her and her daughter's future kids, her future grandkids. And she tells her daughter that she was thinking she should join Jack and Jill, but her daughter says she read up on it, those kids been knowing each other since they was like 3 years old, and she gonna look weird trying to join them now that she's 17. So Angie says that she got them invited to this party. And I'm like, is they going to a Leah party? I wonder if it's the same party. So here we is at Leah party or whatever. And she's talking to Raymond, her husband. And she says that his mother was right. His mother was right or whatever. All eyes is on her. And she tells her, and he tells her that she is the baddest woman at the party and all eyes should be on her. I know this, right, Raymond. You better hype your woman up. It's the way he looked at her when he said it. That's what did it for me. She says there is too much riding on this party. There's no room for mistakes. And he tells her he's never seen her drop the ball in her life. So they toast and toast to being stronger together. And Angie is at the party, like I thought. And she's staring at some man when her daughter says that the grandma used to work at the party. Is this parties that grandma used to work at? And she tells them that her father could be at the party and she wouldn't even know it. So the aunt says, well, it's his loss and always has been. So Angie's friend, Josephine, walks up to her and hugs her, and Angie tells her that she wants to say hi to the host, which is Leah. And they walk off, and so now Angie's daughter Nikki is at the bar, and she asks for a club soda, and Leah's son, which I think his name is Quincy, Leah's son, is standing there, and he says that these parties are boring, and if it was his, it would have been lit or whatever. So he orders her a vodka for her, and she asks, is this your party? And he was like, no, because it would have been way better than this. And so his sister Lauren walks up and says that they supposed to be taking pictures for the Jack and Jill when the friend, which I think is Taylor, telling her don't be rude, and she speaks to Nikki and she introduces all of them or whatever. And Lauren looks Nikki up and down and turns back around and says, oh, we gonna take the photo or not? And Nikki says, I guess they don't teach manners in the sunken place. And her brother and Taylor laugh, and of course Lauren says it wasn't funny. And Taylor says, we need some fresh blood around here, so she invites her to hang out with them later. And Nikki was like, nah, that's all right. So Taylor tells her to meet them at the docks at 9 o'clock, and they walk off. So Andrea introduces herself to Leah and her husband, and they ask her if she is there with her husband, and she was like, no, I'm not married. She was like, she is 30 with a 17-year-old, and they, have kids the same age. And she says she's happy to have her daughter with her while she opened up her pop-up shop, Eve's Crown. And so the husband, like, I recognize that name. And Angie tells him because she's applied for a small business incubator program at Franklin. So she goes on and on about her business, whatever, about, black women's hair. And he tells her if she keeps that passion, she just might make the cut. And Leah was like, that is amazing. Well, she tells Leah that it's amazing that she's raising money for single mothers outreach or whatever. And she tries to give her a donation on behalf of her business, but Leah looked at the check like the donation was at the door. And I'm like, okay. And so Angie's over there with Auntie, and Auntie says, how she gonna frown her nose up at a check? It is good money, ain't it? And she look at Angie like, she was like, I took out some loans and stuff to get us here, but we'll be great, we'll be good. So Angie's standing her heel breaking her shoe. And the man that she was standing earlier comes over, and he puts it back where he takes her shoes off or whatever. And so we find out his name is Tyreek. And it look like, because the way they locked eyes, it look like they're gonna be a thing later. So the aunt says, good Lord, chocolate does melt in the summer, because I'm trying to sop up all of that. He is fine, ain't it? Angie says she is not there to make new friends. She is there for the win, heads up, crown on. And I like that statement real. I really do. And Angie is she's on his live showing people how to protect your hair from the humidity, because I think they're in California. I may be lying. She then gets another flashback of her mom talking about her dreams to own a salon, and she shows Angie how to make the homemade conditioner. And so now we're over at Franklin Holdings, the company, and we got Olivia Pope daddy, which ain't Olivia Pope, but he'll always be Olivia Pope daddy to me, which he is Leah's father. And she walks in, and we find out that he is that Franklin Athletics is in talks to buy the Boston Tide. They want to move the team to a new Franklin Stadium and revive a depressed area. He put his arm around Leah, and she tells him, I know all the dirt. Now get your damn hand off me. So Raymond, her husband, was like, everybody, let's take a break or whatever. So she tells him how she spent the morning catching up on stadium deals, and it turns out he is a crook and a liar. So it looks like Papa Pope is still Papa Pope, even though he ain't Papa Pope. She said he bribed local officials and interfered with zoning. And he tells her that generations of his family helped build all of this, and that her great-grandparents moved to Boston with nothing in their pockets and became one of the first families to make it up north. He says, seeing this family, the Franklins give people hope. And as a patriarch of this family, I take very seriously. So he will lift the neighborhood brought by the stadium the Franklins built. She said he is twisting the legacy of the family to serve his own greed. And he tells her why he bought this biggest table he could find, because he wanted people to look up at him, a black man in America holding an American dream in a black hand. And she can keep her seat at the foot of the table, because she will never forget who is the head, little girl. So Quincy is playing basketball when his father, Raymond, comes up, and he says that they need to spend more quality time together this summer, and he wants him to attend this kingship induction ceremony. And Quincy agrees and says, what I'm gonna do there. He was like, I want you to listen to absorb all the power that's gonna be in that room. And he tells him about the first board meeting, and he wants him to become a king one day. So apparently Quincy had something to talk to his dad about, but he changed his mind about it for some reason. I wonder what he had to talk to him about. So Angie tells her friend Josephine that she wants to show Leah that she is a legit businesswoman and she not some ratchet girl from Boston. When her aunt walks in and said, but you are, and you got it honest. And then there is this knock on the door, and it's a package with a note on it, and she gets invited to another party, and this party is Tyreek's party, the man that she was staring at. And He sent her a pair of red bottoms, honey. And Angie's aunt says, you see, Nikki is out here making friends, and I need you to do the same. The kind of friends with benefits is what you need. And Angie tells Josephine she just need her to nominate her at the organization meeting. I forgot what organization it is. And Josephine tell Angie that, you know, you ain't had your back blown out in 17 years since Nate. And now, damn, Angie, now I went some years before, but 17? Good God. So, Nick arrives to the boat party, and apparently, Taylor, hugs her and thanks her for coming, and she puts something in Nikki's bag. It looks like a cell phone. And I'm wondering, what she do that for, especially how nice she's being to Nikki or whatever. So Taylor then tells Quincy to come over there because she was like, and because I think she peeped on that Quincy and Nikki kind of like each other, but Nikki was like, no. But of course, he come on over there, and then you see him and Nikki just getting down on the floor, and then you see Taylor writing lies in red on a picture of the DuPont family, which is Leah and Raymond and the kids. And Angela arrives to Tyreek's party, and he sees her walk in, and he looks down at her feet and notice she doesn't have the shoes on. And she said, I can buy my own shoes. And he was like, I know. I know, but he says, well, can I at least buy you a drink? And now we're back at the boat party. And we see Lauren screaming, Taylor! And Nikki was like, what's going on? And she rushes over there, and Lauren says, we were arguing and Taylor was drunk. And Nikki screams for help. And so I'm like, what the world? Don't tell. I believe the little girl pushed Taylor over there. But Angie asked Tyreek, if he was a shoe sending type of brother, and he says he just thought she needed a better intro into the Bluffs. And he tells Leah that, he tells her that Leah can be tough, but so don't poke the bear. And Tyreek tells her that his father worked for a man that, basically paid his way through boarding school and through an Ivy League college. And now Tyreek owns his own construction company. And Angie says, so you're trying to be my favorite godfather? And he was like, somebody got to get you ready for the ball. And she walks up to him and kisses him, and she kisses him passionately. And in the middle of the kiss, Nikki calls. And I'm like, how the hell y'all just kiss out of nowhere like that? Like, it just, like y'all knew each other or something. So Nikki called, and so all the kids' parents arrive, and Quincy tells them that they got Taylor out and she is alive. Raymond asked the officer if there is any news on Taylor, and the officer says she was taken to the hospital, and their main focus is, how did the accident happen? And he says Nikki said that Lauren was with Taylor when she fell, so he needs to take both of them downtown and talk to them. And Lauren runs up and says she was nowhere near Taylor. Nikki was drunk, and I'm looking like you the lying heifer. And Angie says that her daughter does not drink, and Lauren says, well, smell her breath. And you see Nikki looking stupid, and I'm like, Nikki, see, you should have followed your first mind and stayed at home. And so you see Nikki and Angie walks in the house screaming at each other, and she was like, I only had one drink. And the auntie walks in and was like, what's going on? And Angie tells her that Nikki is lit and almost got arrested for underage drinking. And she asked Nikki, was she smoking weed again too? And Angie tells Nikki that they had to beg, pray to get her in a diversion program instead of jail time. And if the judge hears anything about what happened tonight, he may put her back in jail. And Angie said, we don't have the right skin color or the right bank account to get you out. And Angie then tells Nikki that she's grounded, and Nikki said, "Oh, you want to act like a mama now?" Let me tell you something. If they had been here in real, I would have been 6 feet under right now. I knew not to play with my mama like that. And she was like, "Oh, you want to act like a mama now? You always been so thirsty." And the aunt says, "Slow your roller, girl." And Nikki tells Angie that she is obsessed with getting in with these people, just like she was with getting her into this private school with people that doesn't look anything like her. And she tells Angie it's her fault that she was drinking. It was her fault that she was drinking and smoking, and Angie sitting there looking stupid, like, it is kind of my fault or whatever. And over at, this meeting, I think it was an organization meeting. I forgot what the organization was for. Nikki wonders why she at the meeting. She's supposed to be grounded. And so Angie tells her to fix her face and sit up straight. She's trying to show her something. So Josephine comes over and tells Angie how the nomination process is going to go. So the outgoing chapter president, which is Raymond's mom, introduces the new chapter president, which is going to be Leah. So Leah starts out with a prayer for Taylor's family because Taylor's mom was a part of the organization. You praying for her, and you praying for Taylor's family when you know your little girl was the one that pushed Taylor off that boat. But you know what, that'll come out later. Then over at the kingship meeting, Raymond is speaking, and he asks for the inductees to step forward, and him and Teddy induct them. And then Josephine jumps up back at the other meeting and nominates Angie, and the speaker is surprised to hear her name. And Angie introduces herself and says that who her mother is. And Raymond's mom notices that she recognized the mother's name, but Angie lies quick and says, "Oh, she was a businesswoman. She used to visit here in the summer in the mid-'80s." And they looking at her like, "Bitch." Well, her daughter looking at her like, "I know you lying." So Angie says that she want to follow in her mother's dream, and she wants to be a part of that organization, and that will help with that. So the speaker says that all of the women that were interviewed are under consideration. When Leah steps in and says that at least 2/3 of the membership has to, vote. They would need at least 2/3 of the membership to vote them in. And she says, "Until then, we'll be watching all of you, and we want to see what you can bring to the table." So this is the first event, which is the mother and daughter fashion show. And Leah asks who can help. And of course, Angie jumps up and says, "That is right up my alley." And she shuts Angie down and says somebody else to do that and put Angie on food and beverage duty. Angie says, "So you gonna put me on snacks? You gonna put me on snacks?" And Leah says, "No job is too small for the organization, right?" Touche. So Angie and her aunts are dancing in the kitchen while Angie is whipping up her hair care products, and her aunt was talking, and she was like, "I thought you was taking Nikki to dinner to talk to her." And she was like, she wanted to wash her wig first. So she tells her, "Yeah, Nikki told me that you lied about Eve." And Angie says she just wanted to, the women to see how special Eve's crown could be. But when she saw Nikki's face, she knew she had made a bad move. So then Nikki walks in, and Angie asks if they could talk. And Nikki says about how you are getting faded in the kitchen after yelling at me for having shots of Ciroc. Angie say, "Baby, I'm grown and you are not." And then she tells Nikki that maybe she was right with how the place is making her feel. So she said everything she's doing is for her. And when her mom took her last breath, she promised herself that she would be a better mother to her child. So she asked her to come to this mother-daughter fashion show. And Nikki was like, "I'm grounded. I really don't have a choice." So Nikki goes to her room, and she's looking at the picture of her and her family. And when her bag hits the floor, and the phone falls out. So she goes through the phone, and you see a video of Taylor and Lauren talking about how Lauren's mom thinks that Taylor is the bad influence. And Lauren says she's promised that, you know, she's going to tell everybody about them. And then Lauren kisses Taylor. So Lauren and Taylor are secret lovers, and Lauren don't want this to get out, and Taylor does. So I think Taylor probably, you know, said that to Lauren that, you know, it's time to tell people, and Lauren pushed her ass over there in that off that boat. Which, you know, we at the fashion show now, the mother-daughter fashion show. And the mother-in-law, which is, you know, Raymond's mom, scolds her for being late for her first event, and she tells her how hard the organization had worked to earn their 40 acres that they was promised and they never delivered. So they would stop at anything that threatens her. So she says Angela Vaughn is a disruptor, and she pulls out an envelope that says that Angie's family has a long history on this island, and she asks Leah to take care of it. And if she can't do it, she gonna ask Leah's father, Raymond. Not Raymond. Teddy, I think. So Josephine is over there raving about how Angie had skills because Angie had did her hair, and she was all, you know, happy about that. And Leah was like, what's going on? I had a top stylist that's supposed to come here. And Angie was like, your stylist fell through. So instead of me over there, you know, on snack duty, I stepped up because that's what sisters do. And Leah says, don't embarrass me and don't embarrass yourself. And so she sits in a chair for Angie to do her hair. The fashion show starts, and Angie's aunt says she is so glad Wakanda came to the buff. When I tell you, I hollered because when I was looking at that, I said the same thing. So she said the aunt said you wanted everyone to see how special Eve's crown is, and they are seeing it, baby. Lauren and Leah walk out on the runway, and Leah starts thinking about Taylor. Lauren starts thinking about Taylor, and she is backstage after, and she's hyperventilating when Nikki, you know, like touches her, like trying to see what's wrong, and she snatches away, and Nikki says, I know we're not friends. And she said, I saw you and Taylor together, and she shows Lauren the phone, and Lauren was like, how did you get that? And she was like, obviously it looked like Taylor wanted them to know the truth so they wouldn't have to hide anymore. And, you know, Lauren says, what do you want me to do? You want me to go around slap pronouns on my chest? We don't get to do that over here. And Nikki tells her that she sat by her grandma's bed waiting for her to wake up when her grandma was the only one that really knew who she really was. So she tells her lying to the police. Nikki tells her lying to the police about being together that night with Taylor is the worst than lying about who she is. So Lauren tells her she better keep her mouth shut. And that's when Leah hears them and comes over and asks, like, what's going on? And Lauren just hollers, she's threatening me. She's threatening me. And she was like, Leah was like, why? What's up with you and your family? And Big Angie, I call it good, Big Angie. Angie walks around and was like, whoa, you got some nerve. And she says, I saved you tonight. This victory is mine, not yours. Okay, Angie, you better slow your roll. So she tells Leah to say thank you and act like you was raised right. Leah repeats what she said, act like I was raised right. Why don't we turn the mirror around on you? And she tells her that she knows her mother was a maid. Angie owns it and was like, yes, my mom was a maid and I know who I am. Oh, but wait. Baby, Leah pulls out the envelope, and it's a mugshot of Angie's mama. And she was arrested for intent to distribute over at Egerton. And she says she was peddling out of her makeshift salon. She says, you can try to twist this and make it seem like I'm mistreating you, but we both know you've been trying and lying to get access in this club. And Angie's over there crying, looking at the picture, and she's like, this is not true. And this when Leah realizes that, oh, Angie didn't know none of this. So she got played to do the dirty work. And so Leah propped up in her daddy's seat at the table, and he walks in. She tells him how she tore somebody down thinking she was doing something good, and that her ends didn't justify her means. So she tells him that she will not stand for all the things he has done because she is the heir apparent and she is taking over the company. And her father was laughs and was like, what? And she tells him, oh, you retiring early. And he asks her, why you think I'm like, what did you talking about? She was like, oh, I know all your dirty deeds. And then for the feds to investigate, she tells him all she wanted was his respect. And he tells her, you have my love. Respect is something you got to earn. She tells him she is moving to the head of the company to build up black folks. And he tells her she is just as addicted to power as he is. And it runs in her blood and veins. And she was like, she thinks she conquered her father, but I think she just started a war. And she just in over her head right now because it looked like her father got something in store for her. So Josephine walks to Angie's house with all the documents that she got for her mom's case, because apparently Josephine works at the DA office or something like that. And the aunt she says, her sister would never touch drugs a day in her life. And she was like, she disowned me when I was fooling with a drug dealer. And so she finds this confessional with interrogation tape. She finds in the stuff that, Josephine gave her. And you see the mama, sitting down. I think she was in handcuffs. And, her mother says, Teddy, tell them I didn't sell drugs in my shop. And Teddy says, listen to me. And he turns the camera off. So Angie's having a flashback again, and she sees a watch on the ground in the rain. This is young Angie. And she sees her father getting in the car. And that's when Angie, put it together that Teddy Franklin is my father. And her aunt says, no, she would have told me that. And Angie says, if she didn't tell you and y'all was close like white on rice, then we need to start asking questions and figure out why she didn't tell. And Angie thinks that her mom left that building so she could come back and find out what happened to her. So Raymond sits down with Leah and she tells him that her father is retiring early and she is gonna be named chairwoman of Franklin Holding, and she gonna control all of it. Then the maid comes out and says Angie's there to retrieve her wig. Leah says to Angie, I heard you wanted to get the wig yourself. And Angie said it cost a lot to make it and she don't have money to just throw it away. And Leah says she is glad she stopped by because she is not in the business of tearing down black women. And she's trying to build them up and build them a new community. And she said that is what being a Gracity means to her. Angie says they want the same thing, just different ways. And she says she is starting to get the rules around there. And she says Leah is a slave to them because she humiliated her because she was so desperately wanted to serve this lifestyle. And she was little Angie's like, well, maybe you are the real maid up in here. Angie, when I say you, Angie read Leah, and she tells her, about the boarding house that her mother left her on Boarding Street. And she asks if she knew it, and Leah says her family used to own their house. And Angie said, well, come see by me. Eve's crown can tighten up them dry ends. I ain't gonna say nothing because mine, no mind. Then we see a flashback of young Angie watching her father drive away in the rain when it's a little girl in the back seat asks him, Daddy, who's that girl? And he says not to concern herself with it. So that must was Leah in the back seat when they was young. And it looked like Leah and Angie may be sisters. Ooh. So Angie is, searching the wig that Leah had on that, she had made for some hair. So I guess she gonna try to get a DNA test, to see if they are, related. And she said, secure the crown And that was the end of the episode. This look like it's gonna be a good show, and I can't wait to finish and see what else is in store. It was so much, stuff packed up in this one episode. I hope it don't like go by, like bam, 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 and then episodes start getting dry. I hope they, slow down and keep it, keep it going and keep it, keep us on cliffhangers. I hate cliffhangers, but the way they packed so much in this episode, it kind of needed, because it was like, God dog, you gave us all that, because look how long the video is. Well, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.